So I chose corn ethanol as my biofuel. Corn ethanol is made by breaking down corn using the kernels to break down the starch into sugar and then fermenting it into a liquid. This method of turning corn into ethanol has been around for thousands of years, but only recently has been used more often as fuel. And actually, 38% of corn harvested in the US is used for ethanol fuel. The corn processing, there are 5 steps, and the corn is milled, and it can either be wet milled or dry milled, but most of the processing is done by dry milling. There are 5 steps for dry milling, which is grinding, which is to increase the surface area of the starch, and then the cooking and liquefaction, which is when the water interacts with the starch granule at 60 degrees Celsius to form viscous suspension. And then the liquefaction is partial hydrolysis, which lowers the viscosity to break the larger starch strands into smaller ones. And then the third step is saccarification, which is the process of further hydrolysis glucose monomers. And then fermentation, which is when yeast is added. And then distillation, which is when water is removed from the ethanol by dehydration. The uses and benefits: corn ethanol is used as a gasoline additive that improves air quality and engine performance and is better for the environment overall. Adding ethanol to gasoline reduces greenhouse emissions and in a vehicle's exhaust. Carbon footprint and disadvantages: corn ethanol takes more energy to make than the energy it creates itself. The processing also uses a lot of the US corn supply and causes issues of increasing corn prices. The market for corn ethanol was also created upon subsidies by the government, which was the only way to really establish the market for it. And then the carbon footprint for corn ethanol is significantly lower than gasoline. Although drivers believe that they could drive more because of corn ethanol is better for the environment, but that overall increased CO2 emissions. Furthering the uses of corn ethanol, farmers are advocating for the increase of use of corn ethanol to solve problems such as inflation and tariffs. Farmers suggest that the increase in the use of corn ethanol could lower fuel costs and enhance US energy security. Farmers plan to reintroduce the nationwide consumer and fuel retailer choice act to Congress, and they hope to ensure year-round access to ethanol and remove the outdated restrictions of ethanol usage. My view, I believe that corn ethanol is a great biofuel that reduces greenhouse gases and improves air quality. Although the ethanol is added to gasoline, which improves the carbon emissions, but CO2 is still being released in the atmosphere. The production of corn ethanol is also costly to the environment and biodiversity. I believe that corn ethanol has great benefits to its use, but there's still too many costs to weigh its benefits. I believe that with further development of other ethanols could be greatly beneficial to our economy. And then these are my sources. Thank you.